down there? This is the City Commission meeting, Monday, May the 13th, 2024. I'll call the meeting to order. Would you please rise for the invocation and the pledge? Heavenly Father, we hope that you watch over this group tonight and that you help us make good decisions for the city of Leesburg. We ask that in your name. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Glad to see we have a big crowd tonight. Everyone, I'm sure, is here for the proclamation tonight for the Leesburg High School Boys Weightlifting State Team Championship. You got him? Okay, here we go. Whereas the City of Leesburg wishes to congratulate the Leesburg High School boys weightlifting team on their exceptional performances throughout the 23-24 season, and whereas through hard work and perseverance, the 2023-2024 team won the district in both traditional and Olympic, won the Class 2A Region 2 in Olympic, and placed second in traditional, and at the state level finished fifth in the FHSAA Class 2A traditional category and won the FHSAA Class 2A Olympic Weightlifting Championship, earning back-to-back state titles. And whereas at the 2023-2024 FHSAA Class 2A Weightlifting Championship, the following lifters medaled in their respective weight classes. Jason Nguyen placed sixth in traditional. Danny Eglerth, placed sixth in Olympic. Jamar Williams placed fourth in Olympic. Savion Lattimore placed third in Olympic. Logan Thompson was state runner-up in Olympic. Ryan Thompson was state runner-up in Olympic. Zach Field placed third in traditional and was state runner-up in Olympic. Caden Adams was state champion in Olympic, and Jeremy Lacey was state runner-up in Olympic and state champion in traditional. And whereas while weightlifting is in many respects an individual sport, the team environment is an integral part of each lifter's success, and the members of the 2023-2024 LHS Boys Weightlifting Team are as follows: Caden Adams, Michael Aguilar, Gage Anderson, Barath Balaji, Dakari Connor, Peter Cunningham, Tyler Davis, Terrell Davis, Cobe Eland, Danny Eglerth, Zach Field, Lubert Philomar, Xavier Ford, Charon Hanbury, Jake Hernandez, Jeremy Lacey, Savion Lattimore, Jacob Miller, Mason Moore, Jeremiah Neely, Jason Nguyen, Theo Prater, Gavin Proctor, Ramesh Ramjak, Ian Reinhard, Alexander Santamaria, Jose Sanchez, Logan Thompson, Ryan Thompson, Victor Villasmil, Jamar Williams, and Anthony Wine. Now, therefore, I, James A. Burry, Jr., Mayor of the City of Leesburg, do hereby proclaim the outstanding sportsmanship and athletic achievements of the 2023-2024 Leesburg High School Boys Weightlifting Team, applaud their back-to-back state championships, and urge all citizens of Leesburg to celebrate the extraordinary season and wish them continued success. Go Jackets.
On behalf of Pastor Mike, we would like to give the commission We Are Leesburg shirts.
All right. Come on, Pam's going to get a picture, sir. Get this right out front here. Come on back here. Here you go. Yeah, the tall guys back here. We're good. Here you go. You guys hold that right up there. There you go, man. Hold that up there. There you go.
1, 2, 3. Oops, wait a minute. We got somebody peeking through back there. Okay, there we go. Thank you, guys.
This is for
Ancestor Josh Boyer.
Thank you, sir. Gotcha. Hey, and good Leesburg. We are Leesburg. All right. Tonight we have no presentations. We'll move on to public comments. This section is reserved for members of the public to bring up matters of concern or opportunities for praise. Issues brought up will not be discussed in detail at this meeting. Issues will either be referred to the proper staff or will be scheduled for consideration at a future City Commission meeting. Comments are limited to 3 minutes, and if you would please give your name and your address. One other note, later on in the agenda, we will take public comment on the position of the city manager. This is not the time to do it, but we will allow for public comment at that time. So are there any public comment on items not on the agenda?
Thank you, beloved Leesburg Mayor Burry, all wonderful commissioners, staff members, and citizens. I am lay brother Stephen Gerard Sadlowski. Voting address is 1109 West 8th Street, Lorain, Ohio. I am here and I would now like to update you on the new Florida personhood city resolution, and cities specifically in Sumter and Lake counties. That's where I focused, to let all of you know. Since I spoke last in Leesburg, I have spoken at numerous cities and towns, and even Bushnell's now hearing about it too. Eustis is hearing about it. Mineola's hearing about it. The personhood resolution and preamble covenant personhood language that citizens should vote on to insert into the respective city charters. The cutoff date for the citizen November vote happens to be for Lake County of August 23rd, 24. I will remember that because that's my sister's birthday. Happy birthday, sis, early. I would suspect, I also was invited by the Conservative Villages Salt and Light Group to provide a personhood education brief. This specific group clamped and continues to be focused on opposing Florida Amendment 4, which I label as the culture of death issue that all of you will be voting this November. My strong recommendation is to please vote no on 4. A yes vote of 60% win will authorize, unfortunately, the deaths of 65,000 innocent babies peacefully developing in their mother's wombs annually in Florida. We just passed Mother's Day. My mother, her name is Arlene Marie. She was a traditional stay-at-home mom who taught us 4 kids typical house chores responsibilities. She valued birthdays and always provided me my favorite birthday cake, carrot cake. When we expected company, my mother always chose me to clean the bathroom because we wanted to show the cleanliness and the best hospitality for family members and guests. If my mother heard any vulgar language coming out of my mouth, she quickly guided me to the bathroom sink to wash my mouth out with Ivory soap. You can thank my mom for teaching me how to speak properly to your wonderful city council in Leesburg. I'm going to be providing personhood education throughout the particular area. I'll do a follow-up on that. I just want to end with a history lesson. Patrick Henry years ago said in a wonderful speech, "Give me liberty or give me death." Well, I parallel that. Give the baby person the human acknowledgement of fetal personhood and right to birth, liberty, and never death in the mother's womb. See your wonderful city manager who calls all of you the Gang of Five, and I'll be happy to work with him on the future agenda item. God bless you all. Jesus loves us all.
Thank you. Any other public comment? All right. We'll move on to item 5, the consent agenda. Routine items are placed on the consent agenda to expedite the meeting. If the commissioner staff wish to discuss any item, the procedure is as follows. Pull the item or items from the consent agenda, then vote on the remaining items with one roll call vote, and then discuss each pulled item and vote by roll call. Are there any items anyone would like to pull? Nothing tonight?
Make a motion to approve all items.
Second.
Roll call?
Commissioner Connell?
Yes.
Commissioner Eastman?
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry? Yes. Mayor Burry?
Yes. That will move us to public hearings and non-routine items, which is item 6. We'll start with item 6A. Would someone please introduce 6A1?
I'll introduce and ask to be read by title only.
An ordinance amending the future land use map of the comprehensive plan of the city of Leesburg, changing the future land use map designation of certain property containing 4.72 plus minus acres from low-density residential and industrial to low-density residential for property generally located east of Flatwoods Road and west of South Street, lying in Section 28, Township 19 South, Range 24 East, Lake County, Florida, and providing an effective date.
Move for approval.
Second.
Dan, would you please give us a...
Mr. Mayor, I'm
Yeah.
going to go ahead
Oh,
and
you
get
want to swear
everybody.
to-
Yes, sir. I'll go ahead and get everybody sworn in before Mr. Miller gets going, if you don't mind. Mr. Miller, every staff member and members of the audience, if you plan to provide any testimony on any of the public hearing and non-routine items in either 6A or 6B on the agenda, if you would please stand and raise your right hand now so you could be sworn in to testify. All right. Do you swear or affirm that all testimony you'll give tonight will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Grant.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Dan Miller, Planning and Zoning. This is basically a housekeeping item. It's a request for a small-scale comprehensive plan map amendment from low-density residential and industrial to two fully low-density residential. Location, of course, is east of Flatwoods Road, west of South Street. It's part of the South Winds Cove development. The total area is 4.72 acres. Currently, the South Winds Cove development contains mostly, almost entirely, two-story townhouses. In this case, in the area here where it's showing Harbor Winds, they want to put in one-floor apartments. So it's not a density increase or anything like that. The zoning is already R3, high-density residential, so we're just looking at cleaning up the land use and providing a use that we don't really have enough of in the city. Thank you, sir.
Any questions for Dan? The petitioner want to say anything, Dan? Or?
I believe they're all good with what we have talked about in the past.
Do we have any public comment on this? Any questions from the commissioners? Roll call.
Commissioner Eastman?
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry? Yes. Commissioner Connell?
Yes.
Mayor Burry?
Yes. Someone please introduce item 6A2.
I'll introduce and ask to be read by title only.
An ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, vacating a 7,367 square foot portion of Park Avenue, generally located between West Meadow Street and the city's Fountain Lake Bike Trail, as shown on the official map of the City of Leesburg, Florida, recorded in Plat Book 2, page 19 of the Public Records of Lake County, Florida, and providing an effective date.
Move for approval.
Discussion? Dan?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is on the north side of West Meadow Street and ends at the Fountain Lake Bike Path. It's across from the Beacon College athletic field. What it is a small vacate of a previously platted roadway, which has been there for many years and was never constructed. It's only 7,367 square feet, so it's a rectangular shape. The purpose of the vacate is to allow Beacon College to build an athletic and health center there, and a new fitness center and health activity center, actually. And we have been working with Beacon and looking at their designs, and it looks real good.
Yeah, and this is basically a road to nowhere.
Road to nowhere that's on paper and was never built. Yes, sir.
Correct. Any questions for Dan? Any public comment on this? Good enough. Roll call?
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry?
Yes.
Commissioner Connell?
Yes.
Commissioner Reisman?
Yes.
Mayor Burry?
Yes. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. So would someone please introduce item 6A3?
I'll introduce and ask to be read by title only.
Excuse me. An ordinance amending the future land use map of the comprehensive plan of the city of Leesburg, changing the future land use map designation of certain property containing 10.08 plus minus acres from institutional to general commercial for a property generally located north of U.S. Highway 441 and west of College Drive, lying in Section 15, Township 19 South, Range 25 East, Lake County, Florida, and providing an effective date.
Move for approval.
Second.
So, Al, if you would give us just a quick summary and go from there.
This item and the next item are one and the same. One is a rezoning, which is this item, and then the next is a PUD to consider. The airport, through the City Commission, is trying to sell a 10-acre parcel to some developers. This affects the northwest corner of 441 and College Avenue. Part of our contingencies in the contract, the sale contract, which I believe was for about $2.7 million for the 10 acres, concerns them getting the rezonings they need. In the 11th hour, I was contacted by the college, and there was a concern about the development piece, which essentially goes something like this. Years ago, the city promised to never develop this parcel, and then we worked out a quid pro quo where the college gave us this property, and we gave the college some others. So Grant's going back through the record on that. So long story short, I have been in touch now with the college, I've been in touch with the developer, and I've been in touch with the county to try to kind of get this last-minute concern squared away. We need to do a little bit homework, so I'm asking that you guys table this to a date certain, which would be June 10, 5:30 here in the Commission Chambers, where we'll re-advertise if we need to. Follow Grant's lead on that, but that report would be for this item and the next. So the next item, if you do table this, we'll need to read that aloud and then go ahead and table that to a date certain as well.
So can we get a motion to table that item?
Motion to table till date certain.
Second, but is this
Any discussion?
Yeah, add in the date if you would.
Do we have a date certain you want to go to?
July 10.
July 10.
No, June
June
10, here at 5:30 in the Commission
And then
Chambers.
I wanted to ask Dan a question about this, but the FAA elevation points for all the buildings haven't been approved, so this is probably a good idea that this is getting postponed anyways.
That is correct. Anytime you're near the airport, there is a site, the FAA website you have to go on, and you have to describe the tallest point on the property, such as the top of the structure, or if you have an antenna, anything like that. And you place that in there with a legal description, and then the FAA comes back and says what you're allowed within that flight area, flight zone, flight path. They have different names for the different paths and everything. So anything that's built within that area does have to go to that website, work with the city's airport manager, insert their information into the FAA website, and see what the height is. I think it's, and I forget the numbers, but there's 1 feet for every, when you start off at 0 to 200, and then it's 1 foot for every so many feet, and it keeps ascending. So basically, whatever we say in the PUD, the FAA can overrule if it's too tall, if the FAA has any concern at all. So.
Any other questions? So we have a motion on the floor to table this until date certain, June 10th, 5:30.
Yes, second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Berry? Yes. Commissioner Connell?
Yes.
Commissioner Eastman?
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Mayor Burry?
Yes. Someone please introduce 6A4.
I'll introduce and ask to be read by title only.
An ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, changing the zoning on approximately 10.08 plus minus acres from P Public to PUD Planned Unit Development to allow for commercial uses, including restaurant, retail, and indoor storage for a property generally located north of U.S. Highway 441 and west of College Drive, lying in Section 15, Township 19 South, Range 25 East, Lake County, Florida, and providing an effective date.
Move for approval.
Second.
I'd like to make a motion to table this till June 10th here at the City Hall at 5:30 p.m.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Connell?
Yes.
Commissioner Eastman?
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry?
Yes.
Mayor Burry?
Yes. Someone please introduce item 6A5.
I'll introduce 6A5 to be read by title only.
An ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, amending and restating ordinance number 2018-2 as amended by ordinance number 2018-35 and is further amended by ordinance number 20-14, providing a short title, providing findings and intent, granting certain non-exclusive franchises to Gibson Place Utility Company, LLC, Gibson Place Water Conservation Authority, LLC, Blue Goose Utility Company, LLC, Blue Goose Water Conservation Authority, LLC, Okie Humpkey Utility Company, LLC, Okie Humpkey Water Conservation Authority, LLC, and their successors, and assigns, parentheses, each a franchise and sometimes collectively referred to herein as the franchisees, a franchise period of 30 years to construct, own, operate, and maintain, certain services and facilities to service areas within and adjacent to the village age-restricted development, setting forth the terms and conditions under which such franchises shall operate, providing for conflict and severability, and providing an effective date.
Move for approval.
Second.
Do you want to give us a?
Yeah, I will. Okay, so the next 5, 6, 7, or items 5, 6, 7, and 8 are all villages related. They concern the adoption of our ARD, age-restricted development zoning classification, which is being overlaid over secret promises, in short. And then also our what we call the 163 agreement does that. And then there's also some other franchise agreements that we've split into two parts. This specific item, number 5, is a franchise agreement for water, for sewer, for reuse water, those type of things. Item number 6 is a franchise agreement for solid waste. So items number 5 and 6 expand our franchise agreements onto the newly purchased property that we sought to rezone. Long story short, we missed some advertisement issues on this one, so we just need to re-advertise for it, which ties into items 7 and 8, a full 30 days versus a 2-week cycle. So we're asking that this get rescheduled to a date certain as well, June 10, 2024, here at 5:30 p.m. in the council chambers. We're actually going to reverse the order at the next meeting, but on this specific item, item 5 and item 6 that deals with franchise agreements. So there's lots of strike-through language and red language in those drafts. Long story short, everything is the same as we did in the past. When we put together these ordinances for franchise and how we deal with all the items associated, they're all the same. So it's just copying everything from what we've done in the past to further in the future.
Thank you, sir. So with that in mind, can we get a motion to table this?
Motion to table until date certain, June 10th, 2024, here in City Hall, 5:30.
Second.
Second.
No discussion. Roll call.
Commissioner Eastman?
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry?
Yes.
Commissioner Connell?
Yes.
Mayor Burry?
Yes. Somebody please introduce 6A6.
I'll introduce 6A6 to be read by title only.
An ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, providing a short title, providing findings and intent, granting a non-exclusive franchise to Tri-County Sanitation LLC and its successors and assigns, parentheses, franchisee, a franchise for a period of 30 years to construct, own, operate, and maintain certain services and facilities to serve areas within and adjacent to the village's age-restricted development, setting forth the terms and conditions under which such franchise shall operate, providing for conflict and severability, and providing an effective date.
Move for approval.
Second.
Make a motion to table till June 10th, 2024 at 5:30 here in City Hall.
Second.
No discussion? Roll call?
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry?
Yes.
Commissioner Connell?
Yes.
Commissioner Eastman?
Yes.
Mayor Burry?
Yes. Someone please introduce 6A7.
I'll introduce next, be read by title only.
Excuse me. An ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, request for a Chapter 163 Florida Statutes Development Agreement amendment for the villages of Westlake Area A to incorporate the property known as Secret Promise and other adjacent properties, to update the agreement to reflect year and remove information no longer needed, to clarify the definition of VLC, Village Land Company, to include the affiliates of VLC, to add references to community support districts which allow non-age restricted residential uses, to incorporate and update the provisions that were contained in Chapter 163 Public Facilities Agreement between the villages and the city. The Public Facilities Agreement and amendments will be terminated when this Chapter 163 Florida Statute Agreement amendment is completely and fully executed, to update the agreement to reflect the current requirements in Florida statutes for Chapter 163 agreements. This request does not include changes to population density, building height, or intensity for property generally located north and south of the Florida Turnpike, west of County Road 48, and east of the Sumter County line, as legally described in Section 6, 7, 8, 9, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 29, 30, 31, and 32, Township 20 South, Range 24 East, Lake County, Florida, and providing an effective date.
Move for approval.
Second.
Can I get a motion to?
Move for approval.
He's got a second.
Okay.
So we need a motion.
To motion.
Oh, we're tabling this one as well?
7 and 8.
8.
Okay.
7 and 8. Yep. Can I get a motion?
Motion to table till June 10th, 2024 here in City Hall.
Yeah, that's what I thought he said. Second.
Okay.
Sorry.
Roll call, please.
Sorry.
You're good.
Commissioner Berry?
Yes.
Commissioner Connell?
Yes.
Commissioner Eastman?
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Mayor Burry?
Yes. Someone please introduce 6A8.
I'll introduce 6A8 to be read by title only.
An ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, request for a Chapter 163 Florida Statute Development Agreement amendment for the villages of Westlake Area B to update the agreement to reflect year and remove information no longer needed, to clarify the definition of VLC, Village Land Company, to include the affiliates of VLC, to add reference to community support districts which allow non-age restricted residential uses, to incorporate and update the provisions that were contained in Chapter 163 Public Facilities Agreement between the villages and the city. The Public Facilities Agreement and amendments will be terminated when this Chapter 163 Florida Statute Agreement amendment is completely and fully executed, to update the agreement to reflect the current requirements in Florida statutes for Chapter 163 agreements. This request does not include changes to population density, building height, or intensity for property generally located north and south of the Florida Turnpike, west of County Road 48, and east of the Sumter County line, as legally described in Section 6, 7, 8, 9, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 29, 30, 31, and 32, Township 20 South, Range 24 East, Lake County, Florida, and providing an effective date.
Move for approval.
Second.
Second.
Make a motion to table till June 10th, 2024 at 5:30 here in City Hall.
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Connell?
Yes.
Commissioner Reisman?
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry?
Yes.
Mayor Burry?
Yes. Okay, we'll move on to item 6B, which is first reading of ordinances. Grant, do you need to swear anybody in for this first reading? Was there-
No, sir, we took care of everybody on the first go-around.
All righty. Someone please introduce 6B1.
I'll introduce 6B1 to be read by title only.
An ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, establishing the Grace Key Groves Community Development District pursuant to Chapter 190 Florida statutes, providing for authority and power of the district, providing for the Board of Supervisors of the district, providing for the district budget, providing for functions of the district, providing for miscellaneous provisions, and providing an effective date.
Or we don't need to, it's first reading. So, yeah.
Thank you, Mr.
Dan,
Mayor.
if you'd give us a...
Yes, sir. This is Community Development District for the Grace Key Groves, which it will cover the Bar Key subdivision, which is down South Leesburg, just north of the Turnpike and east of Highway 27. That was at 1,700 units and 717 acres, I believe is what it was. And just as a reminder, CDDs are allowed under Chapter 190 Florida statutes, and they're a method of creating and funding special purpose districts that manage, finance, and deliver basic community services, the water, wastewater, roads, and things of that nature, security infrastructure, roads, bridges, et cetera. They cannot cause a debt to be encumbered to the city government, and they have no zoning or police powers. They're just a way of getting the people who move in there to pay for the infrastructure. Mr. Jarrett Earlywine of QTAC Rock is here. It's the first reading, and I forgot, Andy, to write down the second reading date.
May 28th.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Any questions for Dan? Do you have any questions for the petitioner with regards to this? This will lay over, you said May
28th.
May 28th will be the second reading here at City Commission Hall. Okay. So we'll move on to item 6C, non-routine items. Someone please introduce 6C1.
I'll introduce and ask to be read by title only.
Resolution of the City Commission of the City of Leesburg, Florida, terminating the city manager without cause pursuant to Section 9B of the employment agreement between Fred A. Alminer and the City Commission, authorizing severance payment pursuant to Section 9C of the stated employment agreement, and providing an effective date.
Move for approval. If you don't mind, I'll start the discussion.
First, if you don't mind,
Nope, go ahead.
I just want to make sure the public understands kind of the differentiation here. This is a termination. Lost my train of thought. Hang on. So there are two ways that Al can be with cause, without cause. If Grant, if you would just go over those briefly so everyone understands.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. There are two different procedures by which the city manager could have his employment position terminated, spelled out in his contract. One process would be with cause, and that is spelled out in the contract, which involved sort of a variety of criminal activity, dishonest behavior, malfeasance of duties, or breach of contract. The other process is without cause, so it doesn't really contemplate that there's per se any legal cause, but there is a process that allows the city to terminate the position without cause. And so under that procedure, there would be some more compensation that would be due to the city manager going that route. But there are some things that come back in exchange for that. A waiver of any claims against the city would be one example. And then, that pretty much takes care of the situation. So those would be the avenues. The other thing that's contemplated in the contract is if the commission were to sort of take a vote, maybe of no confidence or something like that, and kind of request the manager to resign. If the manager accepted that vote and resignation request, then he would be entitled to the same compensation if he's terminated without cause. So basically, the main difference is with cause, you would need some legal basis for the termination. He may not be entitled to any additional compensation if there is cause for that.
Right.
Without cause, you don't really need any legal reason, just as long as the compensation is paid according to the contract.
Right. Thank you, Grant. So Alan produced the letter, so I'll give Alan the floor to start with.
I'll start the discussion since I initiated this letter to Mr. Minner. One of the most important values in a relationship, whether it be personal or professional, is trust. I give trust freely. I have now experienced multiple instances with Mr. Minner in which I have been deceived or misinformed. No matter if these lies are big, small, or partial truths, ultimately it's still a lie. As a commissioner, I must rely on the city manager to represent the commission, lead our city, and place trust in our city manager without a doubt. I can no longer do this because I feel the trust I had with Mr. Minner has been broken. I assure everyone this decision has not been made hastily. I know if I were in this position with my superior, I would no longer hold a position in my company. My campaign for commissioner was conducted on transparency and communication, as these are important to me. On Monday, April 29th, Mr. Minner contacted me to discuss a position change for Mr. Hicks. Mr. Minner informed me many times this decision was within his authority. I asked Mr. Minner if he had run this concept by the other commissioners. He stated, yes, but only the 4 that I value their opinion, and they were all on board. Initially, I agreed with the concept, with hesitation. Mr. Minner stated he would be making the offer to Mr. Hicks on Wednesday, May 1st. After further thought, I contacted Mr. Minner on Tuesday, April 30th in the morning to make him aware that I had some concerns and could we speak prior to him making this final decision. Mr. Minner quickly responded and said he had already made the offer to Mr. Hicks. Mr. Minner stated he made the offer sooner than discussed based on my acceptance. I told him this was a huge decision, that I needed time to process and felt I needed further discussion. Mr. Minner then responded that he had rescinded the offer pending further discussion with me. After a very long and not so pleasant conversation, it ended in a disagreement between me and Mr. Minner. Shortly after the call, I received another call from Mr. Minner stating, I'm not going to apologize for anything I have said or done, and I'll be moving forward with my decision. Here are my concerns. This is a substantial organizational change that was made quickly. Why the rush? I would like to have had a public discussion and allow the concept to be discussed between all of us commissioners. I was unclear and not in agreement with how he proposed to fill the pay gap with a non-budgeted staff person. Was this expense of this hire within the authority of Mr. Minner, or would that have required a formal vote? If the position required a vote, this could have been done during a public forum. I have concerns about how Mr. Hicks would be able to fill 3 roles. I have concerns about the extreme differences in job duties between the police chief and the roles that Mr. Hicks will be fulfilling: deputy city manager, procurement manager, and admin buyer. I have concerns about the lack of succession planning with hiring and training of a police chief while ensuring the continuity of our public safety. Why did Mr. Minner not seek legal counsel on this change? Mr. Watson was unaware of this decision until I discussed this with him. Grant, in doing what was done in the process it was done, does this open us up to any potential lawsuits or just even discrimination lawsuits? Lastly, I'm a professional and I take my role seriously. I value everyone's opinions, but I can make my own independent decisions based on what I was elected to do by my constituents. Thanks.
So Grant, number one, there was a mention in the charter. According to the charter, was Mr. Minner allowed to hire a deputy city manager and place somebody in that position without our consent?
Yes, according to the charter, and I'll read exactly what the charter says so everybody is aware. But there's a couple of provisions I think that are relevant in the charter here.
Speak up, please.
Okay, can you hear me better now? Okay. A couple of provisions that I think are relevant in the charter. The first is Section 7, which addresses administration of the city to be exercised by city manager. And this provision basically states that the City Commission may, by ordinance or resolution, prescribe the manner in which any power of the city may be exercised. However, neither the Commission nor any of its members shall dictate the appointment of any person to officer or employment by the city manager, or in any manner prevent the city manager from exercising his or her own judgment in selecting the personnel of the city manager's administration. The City Commission and its members shall deal with the administrative services through the city manager, and neither the Commission nor any member thereof shall give orders to or make request of any of the subordinates of the city manager, either publicly or privately. And then when you move on to Section 22 of the Charter, which is under the city manager's heading, this addresses the powers and duties of the city manager. I'm not going to rehash that. It's somewhat similar to the provision that I just read. Talks about the city manager shall have the sole authority to appoint, suspend, demote, or discharge subordinate officers and employees of the city. Section 23 is the third section that is relevant to the analysis, which states that the city manager shall determine the number of city employees and their compensation subject to the approval of the city commission. Salaries and other compensation shall be uniform for like services in each grade within the city's position classification scale as recommended by the city manager and approved by the city commission. All salaries and compensation and dates of employment and discharge shall be reported promptly to the city clerk and the finance director by the city manager. So I think when you look at these three provisions sort of as a whole, I think that the city manager generally has the authority to control the employees that are within the city staff departments. The city commission obviously has a role, as we just read in that last section, which talks about compensation being approved for city employees. So I think if there's money available to pay employees in the budget, the salary is within the ranges of positions that have sort of been approved by the city, then I think that would generally be within the city manager's purview. If the city manager were trying to go outside of pay scales that have been determined by the commission, then I think he's probably going outside of the boundaries there. There was another question that Commissioner Reisman asked, though, in terms of, potential legal exposure, I guess, for this type of thing. And so I think, in talking about a position that maybe was not advertised, perhaps, I think that's my understanding that this position was not advertised as some positions might be or in other places or here. The issue where you have an advertisement or a notification for a position, then you have pretty clearly communicated qualifications and criteria for that position. And once the application period is run, you have a pretty clear pool of candidates and sort of risk analysis in terms of exposure for potential discrimination claims based on the applications that came in. If you have a situation where you don't advertise a position, then it's not as clear what the qualifications for the position might be. And so you might have sort of a larger pool of candidates because it's not as clear what the criteria would be. The other concern, compared to the situation where you might notice a position, would be that your risk exposure is more unknown, I guess, because you don't know who the pool of candidates were, because whether or not they applied for the position is not as relevant because they seemingly might not have known about the position. So I think that's where the risk exposure might come into play in that procedure, or I guess sort of a comparison between an advertised versus an unadvertised position.
Other questions for Grant on this?
I do have one for him. The filling of a position.
Can't hear you.
A filling of a position that's not budgeted, I guess, would be a question I would have.
Yeah, and I understand the concern. I think, from my perspective, if there's money available to pay employees and the city manager decides he wants to shift an employee into some type of managerial role or department head type role, if there's money available that's been approved to pay employees, then I think that would probably be okay. I don't have as big of a concern with that. And I think in this situation, too, I guess I have heard that there were 3 different sort of department head pay scales, I think, that were approved maybe within the last half year or something like that. And that there were pay ranges for those department heads, and that deputy city manager was sort of listed as an example, though not called out as we're creating this position, perhaps contemplated to some extent. I'm not sure that there's really a big problem there, again, unless there was a scenario where there was not money available to pay employees and money was being pulled from somewhere else that had not previously been approved. And again, kind of going back to that section 23 that talks about the commission approving the salaries, and that's kind of where I'm tying all of that into.
Other questions?
I just got a comment, and I guess from my perception, and is a policy issue. I'm saying this because if the city manager has the authority to hire his executive management, but we don't like the policy.
It's our charter. I mean, that we.
Right. That.
But
yeah.
I'm saying I hear, but this is the issue. I mean, that's my perception.
Yeah, and as the mayor pointed out, that's embedded in the charter, so charter amendments have to proceed through. Now, the commission could, pass an ordinance putting the issue to a vote. It ultimately would have to all be voted on, just like the charter amendment we did with the utilities a year or two ago.
I'm just making a statement from what I'm hearing, yes.
Al made it very clear that he's been considering this for years. So why the rush? Why not bring this concept up in an upcoming budget meeting or the past budget meeting? And in talking with Mr. Hicks, he told me, and Mr. Minner said that this all conspired within the last 24 hours of when he was talking to me. Mr. Hicks called me later in the week, and he said that him and Mr. Minner had been talking about this for a while now. And when I asked Al about the rumors I've heard about this for years, he told me those rumors were not true. But him and Mr. Hicks have been talking about this for years. So why not bring this up at a commission meeting? Why do this behind closed doors, even though that's within his authority?
Exactly. It is Al's business. It is not our business. Our business is whether he sits in the seat and whether he sits in the seat. The rest of it is run by the captain of the ship. We're just the board of directors that decides where the ship's going. That's my understanding of what my job is. Am I close to right?
Yeah, I think that is pretty consistent with what we read off from the city charter.
Do you want me to say anything?
If you would like to make a comment, please.
I promise to keep my words minimal. I work at the pleasure of the commission. I'm not going to get into a tit for tat on Commissioner Reisman's opening statement with this regard. Frankly, it was pretty close to very accurate. There are a few little things in there which I would dispute. Lie versus miscommunication. I would talk about that a little bit. Right up until the point to where, I talked to 4 of the 5 commissioners, not all the commissioners, and the one commissioner, Commissioner Cannell, for obvious reasons. About the last year or so, there hasn't been one single issue that myself and Commissioner Cannell has agreed on, so I wasn't going to waste either one of our time. And I think everybody who's in this room understands that, including the commissioner. I did inform the commissioners that I thought that I respected your opinion, as Commissioner Reisman said. I think some of the things in the timeline are not quite accurate. I think Commissioner Reisman was uncomfortable to my response of, to wait. But when we left the office, my interpretation of the conversation was that Commissioner Reisman was okay with my decision. And he's entitled to his opinion. He's entitled to change. And I respect that. And frankly, I respect if he can't work with me any longer because of that decision. I think he then did the right thing by calling the question and asking for termination without cause. I respect that. What I will tell this body is I will stand on my record for the last 10 years. I think the decisions I've made with regard to personnel have been spot on. I would say roughly about half of the department head staff has been hired from within the organization. which makes me question why I read after exit interview that employees don't see it forward advancement in the organization when there clearly is. Chief Hicks and I, or Deputy City Manager Hicks and I, did not conspire and talk about this for months. And I'll be very candid on this point. And I think I had this conversation with the four of you. Chief Hicks, after the separation of the former deputy city manager, said something to me about interest in expanding his horizons, and I told him to go pound sand 4 years ago, very nicely, and I think he would probably capitulate to that. And at that time, I wasn't ready to bring on another deputy city manager. And as you all know from my track record, I'm very hesitant to bring on staff and spend money. I think my record speaks for that. When you add staff, you add costs. For those reasons, I had not revisited this conversation. If there's one person in this organization that I spoke to, probably within the last 90 days, about a contemplation of me changing my mind about the deputy city manager position, it was the mayor, because he's the mayor. So that's kind of where ideas germinate. And those questions were, you know, maybe, Jimmy, maybe I need to bring in a deputy city manager. I've been here a little while. You know, maybe I need to have a training ground of a city manager and bring in a student and whip them into shape and do the Bobby Green School of City Government. Long story, I'll save that. But for, he heard it. But for reasons, you know, I didn't move forward in that. Until actually a former colleague approached me with some concepts on a podcast I started listening to, which made me rethink, you know, maybe it is time for this. Maybe it's time for organizational redundancy. And if you read the press release, and if you read the job announcement, those reasons that I hired Rob to do the deputy city manager, in short, are those reasons. I trust Rob Hicks explicitly. Rob Hicks is a man of integrity within the community. Everybody appreciates and trusts Rob. Rob was going to provide, or is going to provide, depending on where you all go with your vote, organizational redundancy. And the feedback I've gotten, other than Commissioner Reisman, and other than, I'll let Commissioner Cannell decide. I think Commissioner Cannell will tell you he thinks the appointment was okay, but didn't like how I did it. So read between the lines on that. But he can speak for himself during discussion. But at the end of the day, I put a quality person in a quality position that's going to help the organization long term, whether I'm here or not here. I also did it in the job classification for which was approved, the deputy city manager, which is the DHG. At first, I will capitulate that I thought I paid Rob outside the pay class. And I think I expressed that to you, Commissioner Reisman, that I think I paid Rob outside the class, but here are my reasons for why I did it. It's within my pay authority. So I made up an excuse for why I thought what it was wrong until Melissa Arriaga came in my office. Melissa's the HR director, knocked on the door, knocked me in the head and said, ow, stop saying that. You actually didn't pay him outside class. I said, oh, perfect, great, then I didn't mess up. Here's the documentation that proves that. It was the city commission telling me that when we adopted the new pay ranges of the city manager, most everybody was on the board here. Well, Commissioner Cannell, you were here, it was in 22. Commissioner Peterson, I think you were here. And Mayor Burry, you were here. Commissioner Reisman, Commissioner Berry, you were not here. But at that time, the commission instructed me to update the pay ranges. I presented to you how we did the pay ranges. I was told that range on the outside end, the up end, was too low. So Melissa brought up correspondence that said I instructed her to add 25 grand on it. And then in the budget book for fiscal year 23, you'll see that the DHG is a pay scale of 75,000 to 175. I lucked out. I backed into that. I didn't. So it turns out, A, I don't think I violated Section 7 of the charter, which says the city manager does all personnel matters. And Section 23 says as long as you do it within the budget and within the pay scale, you're good. So I thought I busted 23. I didn't. So I think my actions were within my authority. I think they were in the betterment of the organization. And I did it for net neutral. At the end of the day, I work for the collective wisdom of the commission. If I have violated trust, for that I apologize. I stand before your judgment. I say that with all sincerity. If the vote count is to terminate me without cause, I will go in peace. As long as you live up to your end of the deal, which is the severance payment, which is in the resolution, which will cost you $120,000, which, by the way, I think is pretty cheap. You can thank the state legislature for that. And I'm thankful for my time here in Leesburg. You all have been absolutely fantastic to work for. There's been sticky issues, but I respect, where you may go, and the commission's entitled to their decision pursuant to the agreement. If you vote not to terminate me, it's work as normal. There's no grudges. I'll stand on 10 years of performance, and you can be darn sure how I've acted in the past is how I will continue to act in the future. And, I will leave it at that and listen to the debate and trust the collective wisdom of the commission.
Well said. Thank you, Al.
I will keep my comments short. Al called me after the fact. I think it was about a 3-minute conversation. I asked a few questions. I had zero concern. Our role is not to micromanage Al Minner. Not all commissioners have figured that out yet. I trust Al Minner entirely. I'm the longest serving commissioner up here. I served in the mayor role. Jimmy's been in the mayor role 18 months. Nobody works closer with the city manager than the mayor. So here's 2.5 years working with Al. He's done a fantastic job. I don't need to go down that list. Everybody knows the great things he's done for our city. And we need to keep Al Minner here. That's right. I better stop right there. I'm trying to avoid any very negative comments. I'm a little bit angry. Al's done a great job for our city. I hope the votes are there. I want to see Al stay here a long time. I do not want to waste my time interviewing new city managers when I will go backwards with the city manager.
Thank you, Mike. Any other comments?
I do have some.
Sure.
I'm glad Al mentioned that, yes, I wasn't in the loop at all on any discussion. I got a random text one afternoon. I had a random text one afternoon. I wasn't in any type of discussion. I guess, and I'm just going to go off what he just said. When you got a city manager basically said he's basically fired a commissioner. He's just not going to talk to the guy no more. He's not going to work with the guy no more. He don't care what that commissioner has to say. That's a real problem. Amen. A real problem. And, it can happen to any one of y'all if you fall out of favor with him, obviously. And I think it's something you need to consider here. Me and Al have had our differences. There's no doubt about it. But, end of the day, the city manager's got to work with the city commission. They have to. And if a city manager refuses to work with a city commissioner, that's a real problem. And I think that's something everyone on this board needs to keep in mind moving forward.
And I don't want to get in for Tad. Working to refuse for the commission and not having discussions where the city manager is clearly within his right to do are two different things. Then I'll just leave it at that.
I will add that I think the comment right there, he works for the commission, and I think there are commissioners who thinks he works for them, and that needs to be resolved, and I'm going to take Al's side on that one.
Mike, nobody said that, okay?
That's not directed at you, by the way.
Nobody said that. I said, I'm just repeating what he just said. He's got one commissioner he does respect the opinion of, so he's not going to keep him on the loop on any major decisions. That was my point. That's an issue.
I think going forward, he will. I think that's probably a good idea, that everyone would be contacted. But on this issue, going back to the issue, he didn't have to contact any of us. He was following the charter.
And I did not know that till tonight, so I thought we were in here arguing a technicality over
No.
like $17,000 or something. So now this story gets even worse.
So,
Well, I'd like to add, please.
yes, please, Alice.
This is very difficult. I actually popped in my story of learning. I stopped in to visit Al unannounced for Bike Fest numbers. And then that's when the situation was presented to me of possibly moving Chief Hicks into a role. I was shocked. I had questions, and I had a list of questions that I submitted to Al, in which he answered in detail, and I do appreciate. However, I received my answer when the decision had been made and presented to Chief Hicks. This is nothing personal against Chief Hicks. For me, I was just shocked. I didn't understand the transition from such a major role to, not that this new role is not major, but I just didn't understand. And I was asking the questions, is this something I don't see? And Al gave me detailed explanation, and I thanked him. And from that, when I understood, I said, okay, but why the urgency? And that's still my question, and I understand the need of help, true. And I also was just concerned of the process of how it was done. And my concern is the respect is there. There's questions, there's times, no one's perfect, we all know this. But I just want to make sure that at the end of the day, this is a serious matter, and I have a lot of information that I'm hearing tonight, and I must take all this and to do my very best to hear and understand, because at the end of the day, at the end of every day, I remain committed to the district, serving my district, the best possible decisions to the district and to the city. That's all I'd like to add.
Any other comments from commissioners regarding this issue? Okay, this time we'll have public comment. We will limit you to 3 minutes. We will turn off the mic after 3 minutes because we got a lot of folks. So anyone who would like to have some public comment, it's right here.
My name is Ted Bowersox. I live at 521 Lakeshore Drive in Leesburg. I've been involved in the city government in Leesburg since when I was on the city commission, planning and zoning, board of adjustments, back on the planning and zoning commission again. We've been through and dealt with a lot of city managers. This gentleman you have right here is A+. When I was on the city commission, when we needed to do something big, we had to float a bond issue. We had to go out and borrow money at high interest rates at times. That's not happening now, folks. Y'all have good, deep pockets. The city is financially sound. Y'all's decisions help that man's leadership put you there. Keep this man as your city manager. Amen.
Good afternoon. I'm Don Magruder. I'm the CEO of Romac Building Supplies, 700 East Main Street, Leesburg, Florida. I stand in support of Al Minter. I've been running Romac for 27 years, and 27 years ago we were a little 80-employee business. Now we're over 500 employees, probably the largest independent in the state of Florida. And in the 27 years of being in Leesburg, just down the road from City Hall, Al Minter, without any doubt, is the best city manager we've ever had. No doubt about it. He's also been very instrumental in creating the synergy at Leesburg High School with the Construction Academy, with what he's done with the city and bringing Leesburg together. 6 years ago when we started this thing, the Construction Academy was in, Leesburg was in dire straits. We've lifted that whole school up. We started with 35 students. We now have 350, and it would not have happened without the leadership of Al Minter. The other issue I'm going to talk about is sort of the reality of the world, and I think some of our commissioners, they're not in the real world. I hire and recruit people every day. We desperately are trying to hire people and find them. Number one, if you let someone go today, you better have someone already on the hook, because good people are not leaving their positions because they are being taken care of where they are at. That's the fact. People are house locked. The good people are being paid a lot more money from other cities. And the mistake you're making is underestimating the talent you have here. But more importantly, you've now opened the recruiters who will be targeting Al and other people on your staff. When people hear that your city that's going to micromanage your city manager and tell them how to run the city, number one, good luck in recruiting anybody of quality here. Secondly, good luck in finding anybody to replace them, literally to replace them. That's going to be hard. But most importantly, you're losing a good guy. You know, it sounds to me like most of you guys need to just get together and discuss these things and policies out. This should never have risen this way. In fact, in my management team, we have a management team of about 30 people. I would have said this to our guys: this is amateur hour. This should never have risen to this level. And I feel bad for Al, because right now, guarantee you, recruiters will be calling him, looking for him, and you're probably creating a bad situation for the city. But I do stand in total support of Al. You've got a great city manager, and I hope you make the right decision retaining. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Pastor John Christian, Senior Pastor for the Christian Worship Center, Executive Director, Chairman of the Board of the Community Development Corporation. I've heard a lot of discussion tonight, and I concur with Mr. Magruder. I've sat where you've sat for 19 years, hired 2 city managers. You must understand Leesburg is a very unique city for the size. Now you have a major electric company that the wrong city manager will have you buying smart meters. You'll get a financial advisor who will tell you to borrow money on 27 for 41 quarter that will put the city in a bad situation. I can tell you that Al Minner worked with Al for 9-8 years. We have not always agreed. I pulled him off the ledge, told him he could not argue with the city commissioners, i.e. Jay Hurley. And so, Commissioner Reese, I understand your frustration. I really do. I would not say that. And Commissioner Connell, you're correct that you and the city manager should have dialogue and conversation. As the mayor said, moving forward, preferably we have enough votes to keep Al, and that's something this commission should work on. The trust, Commissioner Reisman, I've been praying for you guys and this decision. I pray that you can regain the trust of your city manager, because ethically, I think this has came to a very public discussion, and this is your chief executive officer, and so you also sending a message not just to him but also your other employees. I can assure you that, think about it for a moment, Al didn't have a deputy city manager for 5-6 years, maybe more, and I've encouraged him. I pulled him and said, Al, you need a deputy. He didn't hire a deputy, so he saved the city how much? $1 million, $800,000, just by not hiring this deputy city manager. So this is taxpayers' money. This man has done the work of 2 people and still kept our city property taxes low. Pine Street looks wonderful. He's went through this city. Every one of your districts has benefited, and he has 5 people that he has to keep happy on a regular basis, no matter how you look at it. Ms. Bear, she's a nice lady, but she has to keep her happy. Mr. Mayor Burr has to keep him happy. Mike Peterson, as you heard him tonight, he has to keep him happy. So it's a very tough job. So I would just ask the commissioners, think hard, pray about this decision, because hiring another city manager with the airport, you have an international airport, you have a utility company, you have gas, wastewater. This is not an easy task to replace a man of Al's caliber. So my prayer to you tonight is to think hard, keep Al Minner as our city manager, go behind the scenes, take him in the office, Mr. Commissioner Reisman, and have a come to Jesus meeting with Al. Commissioner Connell, talk with Al. Have dialogue. You know, we're big people, we're grown, and we're professional. So I just ask you to act professional and do right what's best for Leesburg.
Yes, my name is Randy Hepburn. born and raised in Leesburg, 67 years. And throughout the years, the best city manager I ever met in this city was Al Minor. I could pick up my telephone and misdial. I done it several times. In 2 seconds, my phone rang back. That's what a city manager is supposed to do. He's not supposed to be private. I'm a citizen of Leesburg. I dial his number on a misdial. Al called me right back. I say, hey man, I misdialed you. That's what we want in this city, y'all. That's what kind of response we want from our city manager. And for us, Chief Hicks has been the best police chief in Leesburg since I've been here, 67 years. No problems. You call him, he answers your call. So I believe that Al did, I don't believe it. He picked the best person to serve this city. He picked the best man to help him, to help all of us in Leesburg. So my recommendation is to let it rock like it's rolling.
Good evening. My name is Mandy Wettstein, but I'm here tonight on behalf of an organization called Lake 100. For those of you who don't know, Lake 100 is Lake County's, largest private sector, member-driven organization with a history of impact and improvement around Lake County. Their concerns tonight are such: your proposed decision to terminate City Manager Al Minor is fundamentally not only misguided, but also short-sighted. There are a few commissioners who sit up here tonight that we truly believe have no idea of the condition of Leesburg city government or its finances prior to Al being appointed city manager. You're operating with limited information, and it's clear some of you have not done your research with the questions and the statements that you've been making tonight. Let's be clear about the role of a city manager. They are the linchpin of city's operations, responsible for overseeing the day-to-day affairs. You are not. Ensuring efficient service delivery and navigating the complexities of governance. Yet it appears some commissioners here tonight may lack a comprehensive understanding not only of these responsibilities, but of your own as city commissioners. It is a complete dereliction of duty to move to terminate a successful, well-regarded manager in the fashion in which you have chosen. Let's also be clear about this. How much research have you conducted regarding the process of replacing an experienced city manager? Don Magruder touched on it, but I promise you, you all have no idea what you're in for. None. Even a cursory review of some of your sister Lake County cities should be enough for you not to go down this path. Have you taken a look at Mount Dora, even the Lake County government, Claremont, the churn, the rotation, the instability that those decisions made by inept council members have caused our sister cities? It is essential to recognize the complex organization that is the city of Leesburg. We touched on the utilities, but your role as one of our largest cities, if not our largest city, is you are responsible for a significant portion of economic development due to the lack of utility provisions being provided by county government. This makes economic development more critical forever for Leesburg in the cutthroat world of attracting jobs and investment to a community which is Lake 100's focus. Your actions tonight will definitely bring negative consequences to the city of Leesburg as it applies to political stability, which does not mean Republican versus Democrat, but it means an economic development stability. And are you all really ready to throw out the last decade of success over personal opinions in your political circles? Let's review what has been accomplished in this organization very quickly under Mr. Minor's leadership. The lowest tax rate in the county since 1981, 43 years. You have doubled the reserve requirements in the general fund, a demolished reliance on utility funds to operate general services, reliable utilities that offer our region's most competitive rates, even outside Lake County, $25 million in capital improvement projects without issuance of debt, which is unheard of. Lake 100 encourages you to understand that your actions tonight could destroy what has been a model of good governance for all of Lake County. Thank you.
My name's Roger Croft. I'm a citizen of the city of Leesburg. Live at 1125 Sunshine Avenue. I also serve, for all transparency, I'm on the Recreation Advisory Board, and I serve at the pleasure of Mayor Burry. There are a lot of things that we need to consider in making this decision. I respect each and every one of you. I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but I can tell you just simply, 8 years ago, if you would have seen, or 10 years ago, if you would have seen the city of Leesburg and what it had gone through with previous administrations, just ask yourself right now, 10 years later, are we better off now than we were 10 years ago? 100%. Jimmy and I laugh a lot, or Mayor Burry and I laugh a lot about, they sent out 25 years ago in a utility bill, they listed things that needed to be done. And we had gotten 3 or 4 of them done, but we never could get that pool done. That man right there got the pool built in honor of H.O. Dabney, who was one of the most honorable people that ever lived in the city of Leesburg. Just the accomplishments, if you have a organization, how many employees do we have in the city of Leesburg? 700? Is that?
525.
525, okay. About a $200 million budget. If my company had a CEO that was able to accomplish the things that he's accomplished, he is a fiscal responsible manager of our city budget. We've never had that before. The things that, you know, if you look at the gyms of the city now, you look at what's happened down at Venetian Gardens. It used to be the gym went into ill repair, just wasn't utilized effectively. Now look at it. Everybody always talked about we need a restaurant down at Ski Beach. Well, guess what? We got a restaurant at Ski Beach. We got a brand new community building down at Ski Beach that I say rivals any in the county. The other municipalities in this county have attempted to do the same thing, and they have got themselves in financial difficulty. We are not in that situation, and the reason is that man right there. So I'm praying that you guys have prayed about this decision. The man's not perfect, but none of the people in this room are perfect either. So please make a good decision for not only the last 10 years we have, but for the next 10 years, we need this man in the seat he's in right now. Thank you.
Good evening, Dr. Erica Jasper. I just want to echo all the sentiments that of the individuals that have come before me in reference to Al's character. I know there's been comments about mistrust and misinformation, but I think that has been dispelled by our attorney tonight. So I would like to recommend that we keep Al on staff tonight, for his record has spoken for itself. Over the past 10 years, this man has excelled in everything that he has accomplished, well, set to accomplish. And I appreciate you, Al, and I just want to let you know I have major respect for you tonight to sit by someone who has tried to discredit you. And I just want to let you know, because of your experience and your expertise, I appreciate you. And I just want that to be known publicly. So thank you for everything that you have ever done for the city of Leesburg and for everyone that you work for. So I thank you.
I'm Darrell Crane, 2005 Helms Avenue. I've lived in Leesburg for almost 70 years now. I've worked for every city commissioner from Rex Taylor till today. I retired 5 years ago. I asked this commission to think about this and keep Al Minner as our city manager. He's done a good job. I enjoyed working under him, and I understand that he loves Leesburg, and he's going to do what's right for this community. When we were having trouble within our departments, they would send us to some kind of work group, and we would all get together and figure out how we could get together. It sounds like y'all need to. Please keep him on board.
Good evening. My name is Twain Littlejohn, and I have an organization in West Leesburg. It's called The Great Plan. During the time when I met the city manager, it was one of the mothers. I work with kids, but it was one of the mothers that had just spent all of her money to buy food for her and her 3 kids. He might not remember it, but I do, and she does too. She didn't have the money to pay for the electricity She didn't have the money, and the organization wanted to help her, but it would have been like 3 days later. And someone said, see the city commissioner. So, I mean, the city manager. So I went to see the city manager, and I told him the situation. See, this is one person in my community, in our community, and he doesn't realize what he did. He helped a family with 3 children that if she didn't get her utilities kept on, she was going to lose all her food. And then it would have been next month before she was able to. And he did it. He said, are you going to get us money? You going to pay for it in 2 or 3 days? I said, yes, sir. Yes. And it gave me a lot of respect for you and what you did for one individual. I know he's done a lot for a lot of individuals, but that meant a lot. It raised the bar. If you were running for something, I'd be there trying to elect you. All right, thank you, and God bless you. And give him a chance. He's a good guy. All right, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, I'm the older Dan Roebuck, and I've lived here for over 70 years, and during that time, I've seen a lot of city commissioners. Years ago, the city of Leesburg was the best city in the county. Then it took a downward spiral. Over time, started going down, and it was mainly because of city managers. You can have the best commission in the world, but if you don't have a city manager making them work, your ideas and what you decide to do, it's not going to work, and you're going to get in a downward spiral. And eventually, when Al got here, we started going an upward spiral. Right before Al came, they were talking about raising ad valorem taxes, raising electric rates. Al got here, and it wasn't long before y'all have more reserves, which you still do today, than any city or the county in Lake County, than anyone. And you're paying cash for all your capital projects, things that other cities can't do. I mean, he has turned the city around, and I don't need to tell you, y'all know what all has been done since Al's gotten here. It's just unbelievable what he's done. Some people have talked about replacing him and how hard it's going to be. You're looking at a very small subset of city managers that have had success, that also want to move you forward, that understand utilities, including gas, which makes y'all a lot of money, and has an international airport. It's going to be hard to find someone. And when you fire someone not for cause, you're going to have trouble getting other people to apply because, okay, if they're going to feel like they're walking on eggshells, if I do something wrong, I'm going to be gone. So nothing's going to happen. And it's rough. Y'all have the power to do whatever you want tonight. It's not up to me or anyone in this room except 5 people sitting up here. Y'all get to decide whether Leesburg moves forward or Leesburg doesn't. I wish we weren't here. I would ask that y'all keep Al, and that all of y'all that have problems with Al, sit down with Al, tell him what they are, and y'all, work them out so we can move forward. Every night I pray for politicians everywhere to do what's right for the constituents, not what's right for themselves. Come on. And what that is to keep Al Minner here and be able to look yourselves in the mirror and say, I did the right thing for our constituents. Thank you for your time.
My name is Hal's cringing. My name is Tino Anthony. I'm your IT director. I have been, since Al's been on board, it's been just over 10 years. I'm a long-term employee. I've been here for over 20. I've been through 3 city managers. Please, hold on to this. Hold on to this one. Hold on to him. I'm asking you guys here, and I know, Jay, I know you, we've had discussions. Al and I have not gotten along at times, but he is a reasonable individual. I would ask that you work out your differences so that we can move forward. He is by far the best city manager we've ever had, at least in the last 20-plus years that I've been here. So please. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for letting me talk. My name's Chuck Johnson, 1330 Citizen Boulevard, Suite 404. Lifelong resident of Lake County, lifelong resident of Leesburg. Been through Calvin Glidewell, Rex Taylor, Ron Stock, Jay Evans, and Al Minner. I've been here a long time, folks. I've seen the city of Leesburg at its best, and I've seen it at its worst. It's at its best now. There's no question about that. It's okay to disagree. It is not okay to disagree at the expense of the constituents. That's what's happening here. I'm calling for this resolution to be pulled. Al Minner's the right man for the job. You guys can work out these differences. It's not why we elected to you. You guys oversee. Al Minner does the day-to-day operations. What he did for this hearing was called for in the charter. Grant's told you that. There's no issue here other than some feelings have got hurt. If we lose a city manager over somebody's feelings gets hurt, it ain't right. It ain't right. You guys need to do the right thing, and the right thing right now is to resolve that resolution. Do not pass this. Let Al Minner stay. Let the city of Leesburg thrive. Let the city of Leesburg thrive. I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful to be part of the city of Leesburg. And I still believe it belongs to me, but it can belong to you too. All you got to do is take care of it. And that's all our responsibility. We need to take care of this problem. We need to keep Al Minner as Leesburg's city manager. Thanks a lot.
Mayor and Commissioners, thank you for letting me have a minute to talk. I want to start out today by apologizing to Al Minner and Rob Hicks on behalf of the citizens of Leesburg. To have to be put through this for egos is about the craziest thing I've experienced in Lake County. I served on the commission for 8 years. I was mayor, and I can tell you, when I got on here, Jay Evans had just left. I was fortunate enough. Al, I should probably apologize to you for picking you. Elise, make sure you send him an apology for putting him through this. I know John's here somewhere. And we did an extensive search because we needed somebody that was good. And when we found Al checked all the boxes. And he's been checking those boxes every day since. And he continues to put his self aside and always look out for A, what's best for his community, B, trying to please 5 guys that are different, and C, trying to take care of his employees. And that's a task, my friend. I'm just telling you, that is a task. The fact is, though, we're here, and I definitely want to speak out against this action to try to remove our city manager. He has done a fantastic job, one of which I'm proud of, and proud to say at some point I was able to stand with him and accomplish some of the great things that we did. The thing that a lot of you commissioners who haven't experienced something like that are forgetting is, number one, you stated it, Alan, no cause. And plain and Jane, buddy, that just means it's personal for you. And to bring your personal feelings to a commission is dead wrong. You'll never have my support again. You'll never have me in your corner. This is where your feelings are stepped aside and your residents are what matters. Not the little groups you hang out with in coffee shops, not the little parties you like to hang out with here and there. It's what your constituents who voted you in here and said you would watch out for their best interest as a community. That's what your job is. Not if anybody asks your permission, not if anybody puts you on a timeline. Your job as the city commission is to take care of your residents. Number two, you guys are starting your budget. Some of you have been through the budget a couple times, but you're all pretty new. I'm going to tell you, that sucks. And you don't have anybody qualified to take you through the remainder of your budget time. So now what are we going to do? How long are we going to have to hear all the mess-ups that happened to the city of Leesburg because you screwed up our budget? Number three, 2 commissioner seats are up this year. So right in the middle of trying to elect commissioners, we're going through this mess. So now that means you got 2 new commissioners that may come on board. They're going to inherit this problem of having to take over the mess you guys are starting. They're going to have to be stuck dealing with whoever. Mayor, do you want me to sit down? Okay. So I just wish you guys would look at it, and I'll take somebody else's 3 minutes. But you're right in the middle of a lot of things. Okay. The end result is everything that you're doing right now, guys, you've got major projects going on. You are right in the middle of a lot of major things. And you don't realize it yet, but you're going to set yourself and this city back on everything you're doing by a minimum of a year. You get a new city manager in here, he's going to have to come in and figure out where you are. He may have new ideas, and he'll want to convince you to go another path. So you're going to spend at least a year to just get back to where you are today, if you just finished it where you are right now. As far as department heads, let me just say this. One of the problems I see on here, and this is not disrespectful, this is just a fact of life. A lot of you have never managed anything very big. Maybe you were a department head manager in your job, you had a small department. But I've run 20 dealerships with over 2,000 employees. I've been doing it for years. The one thing you never do is try to manage your GM's employee list. You hire a general manager, and it's his job to build the team under him to get his goals and objectives met. You manage your GM. Al is your GM. As your city manager, you're supposed to manage him. You don't care how he gets it done as long as he gets the job done. That's what's supposed to be important. And the most important thing that Al could do is to hire somebody, and he used the word, so I'll use it again and I'll shut up. He hired somebody he could trust. If you are ever a boss, an employer, if you are ever the main man, the most important thing you can have working for you is somebody that you can trust. We've been down the road with people who tried to pull their own little coups, that tried to do their backdoor things. To have somebody you can trust. And Al, you're one guy that I know I can trust, and I'd stand here again, and I would say it. I said it one time 12 years ago, and it made me run for commission, but this makes me want to run again. I hope you're here, buddy.
Hello, everybody. I'm Ann Kinsey, City of Leesburg Building Department. I can't say it any better than your constituents already did. I can't say it any better than any of these other businessmen already did. The only thing I'm up here to say is this is not an urgent matter. Al has been without a deputy for years. This is way too late. He needs to get someone in there. There's a lot of work that's going on, hundreds of millions of dollars cast over all of the different departments that he's running, still managing his staff, and he has all of our respect. So it's an urgent matter. It's very late in coming. It is not all of a sudden. Okay, this has been waiting for years, and so we are standing behind Al 100%. Please, I know you're not, some of you haven't been commissioners for very long, so there's no problem saying, okay, oops, we made a mistake. Obviously, okay, it was a mistake to bring this up. Okay, there's other ways of handling it, so I pray that you'll make the correct decision. Thank you so much.
Any more public comment?
Mayor, Commissioners, Dan Roebuck, President of Romac Building Supply, and as you probably know, I was 8 years on the City Commission with Al. And so first of all, I mean, those of you who had the unfortunate opportunity to have to listen to me when I was up here, you know I love my numbers, but I went easy, no PowerPoints, no graphs, just a couple main ones to just, because the big numbers illustrate what Al has done here. So since Al's been city manager, property taxes down 25%, right? So that's great. But what about spending? Guys, we like to have nice things. General fund's up 48%.
All right.
So we've raised the general fund, but we haven't taken on debt. So we must be the utility, right? The electric rate's paying for it. Well, when Al got here, the 1,000 kW rate was 139. Today, it's 128. So in actual dollars, it's cheaper than it was in 2013. I don't think that's true for about anything else. And now what about compared to its competitors? When Al started, we were 7% higher than Duke, one of the highest in the states. Today, we're 30% lower than Duke. We're going down another 7% next month. Duke's going up 4%. So just the numbers tell the story. It's just done an insanely good job of managing the city. He's negotiated this gas deal. He's given the city a $3 million a year annuity that you just get to spend on cool projects, and that's great. But it's not only that he does the projects, I'll tell you, and this gets to where we are tonight. When I was a commissioner, Al pissed me off frequently. Al and I would get into it up here. I remember one commission meeting afterwards, he called me, he's like, hey, are we okay? I'm like, yeah, we just disagreed. Yeah, we disagreed strongly, but we disagreed. But he's not afraid to disagree with commissioners to do what's right for Leesburg. When you look at the projects that he got me on board with, that I was not on board with, I'd be completely frank, I was wrong, he was right, and he got me there. So the community center in West Leesburg, he did not have 3 votes on the commission to do that. He did not. I was not one of them, and he got it done, and I think it was unanimous. The teen center in West Leesburg definitely didn't have 3 votes there. That was a very contentious issue, but you know what? He pushed and pushed and pushed because he knew it was right for Leesburg, and he got it done. Brought up the pool, didn't have the votes there. That took a while, but we got it done. And you know, not just the job performance, not that he does a great job. The biggest reason you need to keep Al Minner are the people in this room, because when I was on commission, I saw all these people, and they were all almost, I can look and I can see which ones were on which side of the issues, and I have never seen all these people here tonight on the same side of an issue. But Al, I mean, Leesburg loves Al. They bring this room together. He brings the city of Leesburg together. And you're right. He needs to do a better job managing the commission and having those relationships. He got used to a commission that he had for a long time where he didn't have to run things by us. And I'm sure going forward he'll do a better job with that. But please keep Al. He's great for Leesburg. He's brought this community together, and he's going to take us to even better places. Thank you.
Any other comments? Any comments from the commissioners? So we'll have a roll call vote on it. So let's see here. So if you vote yes, you're saying terminate Al. If you vote no, you are saying retain Al, just to make that clear. Okay.
Commissioner Eastman.
First, I'd like to say, hearing everybody, I appreciate everyone's concerns and comments. I would ask that moving forward, if this doesn't happen, or that Mr. Minner will continue to work with me, but then also there not be any backdoor deals, or I won't say lies, but there were lies that he lied to me. I would ask that would not happen again. With that said, he has been a really good city manager. He has done great things for us here in the city of Leesburg, and I will rescind my vote and say no.
Commissioner Peterson?
No.
Commissioner Berry? Commissioner Connell? Mayor Murray? Oh, did you vote?
I didn't.
I thought somebody said no.
You know, I mean, what's been said tonight is very concerning. It's not that I already didn't know this, but I have a hard time voting to keep a city manager who clearly just said tonight he's not going to work with me. I don't know how I can effectively do this. If Al wants to give me his assurance, he'll get off his high horse and work with me on some issues and quit leaving me out because he doesn't value my opinion. Those are major concerns. Then yes.
Mayor Murray?
No. That's it.
That's it.
Very much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for coming. We'll take about 2 minutes.
May I make a comment, please?
Sure. We're going to go.
I just want to say something. I just want, so we.
Hang on, we'll do it. Okay, we'll call the meeting back to order. Before we begin on the next item, Ms. Berry has a comment, please.
Yes, I just wanted to ask or add, is based on the decision that was just made, is it any way possible that we could meet publicly with us? And I was just speaking to see how we could move forward with an understanding to have no discord or animosity as far as what we'll be doing as commissioners of the Gang of Five. And that's what I was trying to see. I was referencing to the special meetings in Section 13. If 3 commissioners were to want to write and discuss something, could that be considered?
So, Grant, could you address that for us?
Yes, sir. As Commissioner Berry mentioned, so we have our 2 regularly scheduled meetings throughout the month. The city obviously has business that might come up from time to time where you could call a special meeting. So there is the ability for the commission to get together more than just the 2 times a month. The process in the charter specifies that if 3 city commissioners request of the clerk the scheduling of a special meeting, then a special meeting would be scheduled based on those requests. So I think, and I'll turn it over to Commissioner Berry, but I think the request or the point she was trying to make is that she sort of finds that appealing, I guess, perhaps to schedule a special meeting so everybody can get together again shortly after this one to perhaps clear the air. But that's what the charter says in terms of 3 requests for a special meeting, then 1 will be scheduled, but I'll let Commissioner
Okay, so
Berry.
special meeting, is that like a shade meeting?
No,
or is
sir.
this a
No, that
public-
would be a public meeting. Right.
So,
It's just.
so it would be no different than it's.
Correct. It would just be an off the normal schedule. It would be sort of a specially scheduled meeting.
Can we just put it on the agenda one night?
I think if there are 3 commissioners present tonight who are in favor of scheduling that would be sufficient notice for going ahead and getting something scheduled if we
Can we
want to
just
do
have
that.
Pam reach out to us and with a couple potential dates, and then we see what all works?
Yeah, I think if we could get a consensus tonight that there was an interest in doing that, then I think that would be fine to do, certainly.
Can you just be clear on the agenda?
Well, I have no idea what the agenda would be right now. I'm just saying just to move, when I said, well, the agenda, just moving forward so that there's no animosity or discord for going forward with any of the commissioners.
Okay, so in that...
If that's okay with you. I mean, you would have to be the main person.
And now
to-
I affectionately call you all the Gang of Five. You know that, and I've said that to each and every one of you. But we work at your pleasure. I think if you're going to have a special meeting, that's fine. But we need to have an agenda for what that special
definitely.
meeting is.
I just can't say it now.
If you're concerned about discord moving forward, I'll directly respond to Commissioners Reisman and Commissioners Cannell. For Commissioner Cannell, I don't think there's a single thing that I've kept you out of the loop on. You've known every major decision. You've been involved in those major decisions that involve spending and capital projects and those type of things. I didn't keep you in the loop on a personnel matter. I hear what you've told me tonight, and I will endeavor to keep you all informed. With respect to Commissioner Reisman, you can expect no different than how I've worked with you in the past. I can't categorize what you think I have said as lies and not lies. I would encourage you to come see me and share your concerns. You were hesitant to share concerns with me in that difficult conversation about what you thought department heads did and didn't say. And it's incumbent on you to share those things and who they are. These things matter. We can't keep secrets between the commission and the manager. You can't have secret intel. I think my behavior has shown that I don't take recourse against people who think differently. That track record is there. So and on top of that, I've encouraged you, each and every one of you, I've encouraged you to get input from department heads. It's important that you go down a level. I have always said that. But at the end of the day, we come back and we talk about what you see.
I think,
and I won't change that moving forward. And I hope Commissioner, and I don't mean to keep interrupting you,
that's
Commissioner
okay.
Berry,
Excuse me.
and I hope Commissioner Berry, you will see that. And I think Commissioner Cannell, you know where we're at, and my behavior with you won't change. And I think it's been reasonable and productive, and I'll continue to do that moving forward. So, Commissioner Berry, if it's the will of the commission to have a special meeting to have this out again and to have a special meeting about it, so be it. I'm there. I'll be there. I'll be there with bells on and to work open-heartedly with everybody, but we need to have an agenda.
I think you just set the agenda. That's what I was trying to say.
So you'd like to have a special meeting to talk about commission-manager government, commission-manager relationships moving forward?
Relationships.
So that would be the agenda?
Yes.
Okay.
And I have one comment or request. Could I ask that the 3 commissioners meet with you individually and then decide if we want to have the meeting? I'm not very excited about this meeting. And that's just my style, number one. I'm not sure what we're going to accomplish.
But
I'm just making a recommendation that maybe one-on-one first, and then come back and decide if you want.
Why don't you, not
meet
to
then.
interrupt you, why don't you all take a vote on whether you want a special meeting?
Okay.
Commissioner Berry, if you put that in a motion, then you can get 3 votes to see if your fellow commissioners would like a special meeting.
I'd like to move that we have a special meeting to discuss openly how we will move forward as a team, and with a special agenda that will be actually provided in detail in the future.
I'll second that out of respect for Commissioner Berry.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Is there any more discussion on that? Any other? Roll call.
Commissioner Peterson?
No.
Commissioner Berry?
Yes.
Commissioner Connell?
Yes.
Commissioner Reisman?
Yes.
Mayor Burry?
No. So we have the 3 votes. We'll have the meeting.
And
So,
I'll have Pam reach out to everybody. We'll get it scheduled, and we'll get it publicized.
All right. So if someone would please now introduce item 6C2.
Has to be read by title only.
Resolution of the City Commission of the City of Leesburg, Florida, authorizing the mayor and city clerk to update the city manager evaluation process and providing an effective date.
Move for approval.
Second.
Do we get a second?
So we can discuss it.
We got a second? Okay, discussion?
Yeah, just to tee this up for commission. So we have talked, we did an evaluation of the city manager, like in October-ish, I can't remember.
May I interrupt and ask one question? Would it be possible to do this after our special meeting?
Well, the way it will unfold will
Okay,
be. So
thank you,
hear me
thank
out,
you.
Commissioner. So, there's been different philosophies. We talked about bringing an evaluation form back to you. Do we get input from the department heads? Do you get input from the staff? Do we do a survey? Commissioner Cannell's asked those questions. But frankly, this body hasn't solidified how you want to do the review process of the city manager. And you guys have been kind of all over the place on how we do that. So it needs to come back to this body. You guys need to collectively vote on how we're going to do this review process. Pursuant to our agreement, I have provided you a new personnel or a new city manager evaluation form. I got it, frankly, from the city of Tavares, and I think it lays out some of the things differently. I think it pinpoints what you will review on, which is the resolution that we adopted, goals last summer, and then it gives you opportunity to lay out new goals in the future. That's my recommendation to you. I'm partial to wherever you decide, but y'all need to formally decide how you're going to review the city manager. The due date for that process is August contractually. So Commissioner Peterson, that answers your question. So I would assume we'd have the special meeting before the evaluation is due. But if you do want outside input from whomever, we need to solidify that process now so that we can go out, get that information, bring it together, get it to you, and then do the formal evaluation by August. So the process, my proposal to y'all is the form that's in the packet, complete that form, return it, and conduct the evaluation at the first meeting in August. So the resolution sets forward that process.
Did not everyone get with HR about what they wanted? Or this is based off what everyone wanted, right?
This was based on what we have loosely discussed at the commission level. It was collected by HR roughly, Commissioner.
I was called her.
And so now it's before you to formally vote on.
Okay.
So do you have Melissa is here. Do you have questions for her regarding?
No, I contacted Melissa and let her know my opinions on this.
Anybody?
This is going to address the vote tonight. It's going to address having the city employees participate in the evaluation process.
No, it does not. The evaluation, that's something you all need to discuss.
That's what
okay?
I'm
So you
asking.
need to bring, so this process that's on your table is a new form. It establishes evaluation criteria by the goals we set forth, and then it establishes an avenue for you to select goals for the coming year, August to August, roughly. Commissioner Cannell has time and again asked you to get employees to provide input as part of the evaluation process. Some of you have not answered that question. Some of you had said, no, you don't want it. So you need to answer that question this evening for Commissioner Cannell. The commission needs to be clear on how you want to evaluate me. You need to make that motion, and you need to set it in stone so that if you do some of the things that Commissioner Cannell is asking, we have time to do that by August.
Can I ask Commissioner Connell a question? The employee review process, who will they be reviewing? Will that be their department head?
I like for them to actually do the city manager.
Okay.
I'd like for the evaluation process to include the employees, be done through various different companies. I have spoke with Melissa concerning a couple different companies that we would prepare a survey of the employees. They would prepare the survey or actually answer the thing, and then they would submit it in, and it would be completely anonymous. That way none of the employees have to worry about any type of retaliation or anything else. They could be completely honest, and I think that ought to be considered prior to us doing our evaluation. I think we need to know how the employees view our city manager. I mean, we sit up here, we see him twice a month. I think it's very important that the employees get a say in that evaluation.
Can I give a little bit more explanation about the employee survey?
Yes.
Melissa Arriaga, Director of Human Resources. So when I spoke to Commissioner Cannell, I had informed him that Al and I had previously talked about an employee survey prior to it being linked or merged with his evaluation. Al and I had previously talked about an employee survey because moving the city forward, we've talked about wanting to get to a point where the city of Leesburg is seen as one of the best employers to work for. And in order to get to that process, an employee survey is a component of that. I explained to Commissioner Cannell that if we went that route, our goal is to obtain information on leadership, on benefits, on wellness, etc. If he or the commission so chooses to use that, the outcome of that survey, because honestly, with all due respect, a survey is only as good as the feedback we're going to get, correct, and we don't know. However, that information can be used if the commissioners so choose as part of the evaluation of the city manager. However, that was not the intent when City Manager Minner and I spoke about it. However, I was very transparent with Commissioner Cannell and more than happy to do whatever the commission requests of us, and we would come up with the questions with the Personnel Committee. If the commission were to go down this road, the Personnel Committee of the commission would meet and solidify the survey. But the intent is to get a better perspective from the employees to see where we can make improvements, but it's up to you if you want it to be linked to the city manager's evaluation.
Questions for Melissa? Comments?
I'm not crazy about it at all. I mean, first of all, I don't want to pay money for this. I have no problem if HR wants to put a survey out to staff that they fill out, at their discretion. I mean, I welcome that information. As far as evaluating Al, I don't think it's really right to go below department heads. I'm not going to argue that one. I mean, that makes a little bit of sense, but I don't know why we're having employees evaluate, our city manager. That doesn't make sense to me, but at all. I think we're wasting time and money here.
Now, when we do our exit interviews, just so the commission is aware, and we've talked about this before because the commission has asked if the city does exit interviews, and we do. And so at that time, we find out if an employee so chooses to share with us where their areas of concern are. 9 times out of 10, it's not a concern with the city manager. It could be with the direct supervisor. It could be with the decision that was made or what have you. But we try to be as transparent with our employees as possible and work with the department heads and work with the city manager. So we'll do whatever the commission so chooses. The feedback you do get from a survey does help us know where benefits are.
Well, you got my attention when you said it's everything. It's HR benefits.
Everything.
It's everything.
And I share that with Commissioner Cannell that it involves, there could be some leadership questions in there. There could be questions about benefits, about wellness, whatever we so choose to include if the commission directs us to meet with the Personnel Committee, which has 2 commissioners on it. So whatever you all choose, but the intent of the survey is just to get information that helps us see where we can make improvements. And if a commissioner so chooses to use that in their evaluation of the city manager, that's their choice, but it's not our intent to obtain that information. That's not the intent of the survey. We just want to get an overall feel for how our employees are feeling and see if we got a good pulse and where we can make improvements if needed.
Okay, so you have information. What is the pleasure of the commission?
I'd make a recommendation that as part of the evaluation process that we do employ a company for a software program and allow the employees, it would also include department heads, any employee to participate if they want to in the review process along with the other items Melissa said could be included in that.
So that's a motion?
Yes, it is.
I'll second that motion.
We have a second.
No,
Discussion on that. I mean, how much is this going to cost?
So
to
I did
employ a company?
Yeah, so because we're a small organization per se compared to like Pepsi or Coca-Cola, those kinds of places, we did go reach out to some of the more reputable companies like SurveyMonkey and maybe 2 or 3 others. And for a company our size, I can't say that we would spend even more than $5,000, if even. I honestly don't think so, because we're not trying to get an elaborate survey done. It's just getting data and keeping it anonymous. So it would not be something that would be an astronomical amount to do.
May I make a comment? I would like to make sure I'm understanding. The survey would be only for information purposes for HR to determine, but the commissioners will still do the evaluation of the city manager.
No. The motion on the floor is to include a survey of the employees that would be used as a tool in the evaluation of the city manager.
Okay,
is that
thank
correct,
you.
Commissioner?
That's correct.
Thank you. Thank you for the clarity.
Okay. Is there any more discussion on that motion? Roll call.
Commissioner Berry.
No.
Commissioner Connell.
Yes.
Excuse me, Commissioner Reisman.
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson.
No.
Mayor Burry.
No.
Can I help your discussion here? So Commissioner Connell, the commission has voted 3-2 not to have the employees, which I'm assuming included department heads, as part of the evaluation process. The next question that you may want to ask is, do we want a general survey of how the city employees feel about our organization? Melissa will do the same process, SurveyMonkey, cost about $5,000. We'll go out, we'll put together the Personnel Committee. Commissioner Connell, you're on that? And Commissioner Berry will come up, we'll get with SurveyMonkey, we'll come up with a survey, we'll run it past the Personnel Committee. You guys approve the survey, then we'll get it out there, we'll get the information, we'll get it back to you, and we'll do that in all haste. My guess, that would take 90 to 120 days.
Yes.
Is that something the commission wants to do?
I I will be fine with that.
I can live with that. I mean, I just said, I don't mind some employee feedback, and I like it being anonymous.
So we will endeavor to do a personnel survey. I don't think you need one for that. That direction's clear. That's separate and apart from the city manager evaluation process. That will help us guide how we're doing on pay and what the general well-being of the troops is, which is potentially healthy. So now,
hold on one second. Grant, would you?
Yeah, I think let's just do a motion. We did a motion on the last one just to make sure all is well on that.
Make a motion to do a survey for the employee health survey of the city, if that makes sense. Is that what is it?
Employee health, employee.
The state
Overall
of the
wellness.
city.
State of overall wellness.
Overall
Yeah.
wellness.
I second it.
Okay. Overall wellness with a second. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Connell.
Yes.
Commissioner Reisman.
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson.
Yes.
Commissioner Berry.
Yes.
Mayor Burry.
Yes, we can all get along.
Okay, so now you're back to the motion on the floor, which is to review the city manager as proposed by myself and Melissa with the form that was attached.
Okay, but if it takes 120 days,
No, this is a different, we're off of that. We're not going to include the
that will be
department.
in next year's.
No.
We didn't vote. We didn't vote
That's
that.
a whole, yeah.
Okay.
So what you have, so we decided not to include the employees in the city manager evaluation process.
Correct.
We did decide to survey the employees on their review of the state of the city.
Gotcha.
And now the matter is how we're going to review the city manager. The resolution on your desk is we were going to review the city manager in August and do that perpetually moving forward using the guide of the goals that we established that year to judge the city manager. You will then fill out that form, list new goals, and every year in August we'll come up with a new resolution of goals, and then each year moving forward the commission will judge the city manager based on the goal resolution and the form that's attached. You voting yes on the resolution that's on the table, which I think has a motion and a second?
I was going to say, did we introduce this?
Yes.
We did? Okay. I couldn't remember.
So there's a...
Yes, you
So-
made the motion and Commissioner
So
Berry
your yes vote does that. Everybody gets what that is.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Reisman?
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry?
Yes.
Commissioner Connell?
Yes.
Mayor Burry?
Yes. We'll move on to item 7 is informational reports. We have none. City attorney items.
Just real quickly, we closed on the Tropic purchase last week, so the city finished that out, and look forward to seeing how that benefits the community moving forward.
Thank you. City manager items.
I appreciate everybody's feedback this evening from the community. I appreciate the feedback from the commission, including Commissioners Connell and Commissioners Reisman. Excited about moving forward. I think we can move forward with the air clear. Having said that, I'm hesitant to bring up Bike Fest only because it's been a long evening and our numbers aren't quite steady. So
do it next time.
But we're somewhere in the ballpark of, I think, losing somewhere between 50 and maybe even breaking even. Travis brought to my attention some vendor money and some VIP tent money that we didn't anticipate. So we might be close to breaking even. In any case, I don't think we're going to be in a position where we lost any of the city money we put out because we're sitting on that $250,000 that came from the partnership. Maggie and Travis continue to hound down the vendors and get those payments, and I will have a fuller report to you. I think probably, give me to the next meeting, but we'll get it to you as soon as possible.
Can I request the June 10th meeting? I'm not here next meeting.
Yeah, that would give us actually more time.
May I ask, how long does it normally take for the vendors to respond? Is it some time?
The answer to this, I don't know, because we've never done this before, Commissioner.
Okay. I mean, from previous, though?
It took some time.
Okay.
There are a lot of moving pieces in that, and
Because don't they go from place to place to
folks listening
place?
to the statements that I'm saying, and they know who they are, and that's no disrespect to the former partnership. But there's just a lot of moving pieces in that. Vendors in and out, and different things we just got to count. I feel very confident that we can provide you a very good draft positionally of where we are on June 10th, and that will help us move into the budget process. And if the commission so chooses to move forward with this in the future, as I've said to you a few times before, I would like to actually have a Bike Fest budget, a Bike Fest section in the budget that shows how we do this. So June 10th will be that day.
That's city manager items. Anything else?
That's it. No, sir.
Roll call.
Commissioner Peterson?
It's been a tough six days. I have not enjoyed my last 6 days on the Leesburg Commission, but at the end of the day, I want to thank my fellow commissioners who voted to keep Al. It's a great decision for our city, and look forward to the future.
Commissioner Berry?
I have nothing at this time.
Commissioner Connell?
No.
Commissioner Reisman?
Nothing this evening.
Mayor Burry?
As mayor, I would like to welcome Deputy Hicks, Deputy City Manager Hicks. I told him I would give him the props.
I had that on my list. I forgot.
And that's it. Can we motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
We're good.